122 2021 Nanir Adhishtitam Badra Yad Brajishnu Dhruvakshiti Yatra Graharksha Taranam Jyotisham Chakram Ahitam Medhyam Go Chakravat Sthasnu Parastat Kalpavasinam Dharmognihi Kashyapah Shukro Munayo Ye Vanaukshah Charanti Dakshini Kritya Brahmanto Yat Satarakaha. Would someone like to read?
I can read, Prabhuji.
Sure, Mataji.
Thank you, Ji. Hare Krishna. Sorry, just give me 1 second. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead continued, My dear Dhruva, I shall award you the glowing planet known as Pole Star, which will continue to exist even after their dissolution at the end of the millennium. No one has ever ruled this planet, which is surrounded by all solar systems, planets, and stars. All the luminaries in the sky circumambulate this planet, just as bulls threads around the center pole for the purpose of crushing grains. Keeping the pole star to their right, all the stars inhabited by the great sages like Dharma, Agni, Kashyap, and Shukra circumambulate this planet, which continues to exist even after the dissolution of all others. Purport. Although the pole star existed before its occupation by Dhruva Maharaj, it had no predominating deity. Dhruvaloka or pole star is the center of all the stars or solar systems, for all of them circle around Dhruvaloka just as bull crushes grains by walking around and around the center pole. Dhruva wanted the best of all planets, and although it was a childish prayer, the Lord satisfied his demand. A small child may demand something from his father, which his father has never given to anyone else, yet out of affection, the father offers it to the child. Similarly, this unique planet, Dhruvaloka, was offered to Maharaj Dhruva. The specific significance of this planet is that until the entire universe is annihilated, this planet will remain, even during the devastation which takes place during the night of Lord Brahma. There are two kinds of dissolutions, one during the night of Lord Brahma and one at the end of Lord Brahma's life. The end of Brahma's life, selected personalities go back home, back to Godhead. Dhruva Maharaj is one of them. The Lord assured Dhruva that he would exist beyond the partial dissolution of this universe. Thus, at the end of the complete dissolution, Dhruva Maharaj would go directly to Vaikuntha, to a spiritual planet in the spiritual sky. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments in this connection that Dhruva Loka is one of the lokas like Svetadvipa, Mathura, and Dwarka. They are all eternal places in the kingdom of the Godhead, which is described in Bhagavad Gita, Tad Dhama Paramam, and in the Vedas, Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam Sada Pasyanti Suraya. The words Parastat Kalpa Vasinam, transcendental to the planets inhabited after the dissolution, referred to Vaikuntha planets. In other words, Dhruva Maharaj's promotion to the Vaikuntha Lokas was guaranteed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thank you, Ji. Hare Krishna.
Krishna Mataji. Please go ahead and explain, Mataji.
Prabhuji, this one seems very generic, very simple. Saying that Lord had been so merciful on Dhruva Maharaj that even though he's a 5-year-old child asking for childish thing, Lord actually made it possible. So it comes back to our life too. If we practice the way Dhruv Maharaj did. Like, obviously, this is our dream come true, and it will take probably many, many births. Things happen. Krishna gave him not only fulfilled his material desire, most importantly, he fulfilled his spiritual desire too, in the sense that he gave him love of Godhead, and he will not be going back to material life. He'll be going to Vaikuntha Loka afterwards. So Lord even guaranteed that. And the other important that they are talking about is he wanted the best out of all the planets. So he got the best out of, he got a planet around which, a star or a pole star around which everyone revolves. Like in the mandir, we go and we circumambulate around the deity, or in the mandir. So the center is very important. I think here it's the same thing. All the planets will revolve around him, giving importance to the central place. That's pretty much it, Prabhuji.
Yes, thank you, Mata. Yes, Prabhuji. Go ahead.
Yeah, Prabhuji, I'll add means in this purport we can understand, Prabhuji, that God is not condemning if somebody or some devotee come with some material desire and start bhakti of Lord Narayana or Krishna. Means at initial stage it he may have some material desire, but later on if he continues on the path of bhakti, it may happen that God fulfill his material desire also, and later on he means he will get the ultimate knowledge also. This is also possible, because mostly we see in everywhere it is written, all abandon all religion, means all material desire. So people may afraid of this, means everybody, if they read in Bhagavad Gita also, that surrender all material desire, abandon all material desire. But this is not the case. Even if somebody have material desire and if he approach Lord Narayana, this may happen that he may fulfill that material desire, and later on he can purify his heart, and he will get the pure bhakti also. This is also possible if he is sincere and pure.
Yes, Prabhu, absolutely. Just like we discussed yesterday, that the Lord will, once we surrender to the Lord, even though He might give us some material, fulfill our material desires, eventually we will be purified of them. Either the desires will be fulfilled or the desires will completely vanish. And Madhu Sevit Prabhu is pointing out to the verse that Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punaravarti Arjuna Mamupeti tu Kaunteya Punarjanmana Vidyate. So that is actually the consciousness. That although the pious living entities, they go up to the Brahma Loka planets, still after their pious credits are finished, they have to come back to this material world or to this earthly planet. But the Dhruva Loka is not like that. For Dhruva Maharaj, once he goes there, he will stay there until the end of Brahma's life. And after the end of Brahma's life, he will go back to Godhead. Thank you, Madhu Sevit Prabhu. Are there any questions or comments?
So, Prabhuji, from Dhruva there is no fall down. Can say that there is no fall down from Dhruva if somebody approaches or reaches Dhruva.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, makes sense. But we also have to be as qualified as Dhruva Maharaj to get there.
And Prabhuji, one more thing we can infer, means God is telling, and God and all our gurus are trying to say, means Dhruva Maharaj also started his bhakti at the age of 5. So here they want to give an example that bhakti should be started at tender age, means like Dhruva Maharaj, that like Prahlad Maharaj, because they have started their bhakti at very early age. So mostly people are saying that bhakti should start at later on, at old age. So here are two very big examples. Like today people are celebrating Holika Dahan and all. So they should understand that means they should know the story of Prahlad Maharaj, Hiranyakashipu, that when they have started this their bhakti. So like it is a very good example, means I can say, of these two great bhaktas.
Absolutely, Prabhuji. Like that's what has happened. No, nowadays religion has just become a sentimental affair or just a routine affair, just for sense gratification at the end of the day. So that's what people have been doing. Yes, thank you very much, Prabhuji. Okay, text 22. After your sorry, prasthite tu vanam pitra
Prasthite tu vanam pitra
datva gam dharma samshrayah
tatva gam dharm samshraya
षट्त्रिंशत् वर्षसाहस्रं
षट्त्रिंशात् वर्षसहस्रां
रक्षिताव्याहतेन्द्रियः.
रक्षिता व्याहतेन्द्रिया.
After your father goes to the forest and awards you the rule of his kingdom, you will rule continuously the entire world for 36,000 years, and your senses will continue to be as strong as they are now. You will never become old. Purport. In the Satyug, people generally lived for 100,000 years. Dhruva Maharaj's ruling the world for 36,000 years was quite possible in those days. So another interesting point is that if we continue to enjoy our senses, then we will become old very quickly. But as Lord Narayan is saying here, that all your senses will continue to be as strong as they are now. So even though he might, as a king, he might do some sense gratification externally, still it would be out of his complete will. Like he would be a Goswami. And in that sense, he will never become old.
We seen Prabhuji, we have seen Prabhupada means at very old age also his senses were very much awake and
Yes, absolutely. I mean, to be honest, here last year there is this Prabhupada's disciple who lives in Sweden, Yogendra Prabhu. Actually, we have his class scheduled now on the 19th Saturday, and he will give a class on the teachings of Lord Chaitanya. But I mean, we can discuss that later as well. But so the point was that when he was here last time and I met him, we were having prasadam together, and after the prasadam, he just left. And the speed at which he walked and just went back into the temple, I did not even realize that he was 70 years old. And many people even at the age of 40, 50 are now like very dull. Even I, for example, is very dull. So that's the whole point. Yes, and Prabhuji
aging
is
also.
what, Prabhuji?
He reduces aging.
Yes, absolutely. As Madhu Sevit Prabhu is pointing out, that indulgence in sex life leads to quick aging. So that is the main culprit. If you want to remain young, restrain your sex life, become a brahmachari. Any other questions or comments?
Krishna, I couldn't now understand this that this Dhruvaloka is like that kind of planet that it doesn't even it doesn't
Mataji, we are not able to hear you.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so like this Dhruvaloka is such that it doesn't annihilate even when Lord Brahma stays over. So how is it then like that Dhruva Maharaj is there just for some certain period or like is he there like eternally also like or?
No. So it is a transcendental planet inside the material world. I mean, Madhu Sevit Prabhu, you can correct me if I'm wrong. So it's a transcendental planet in the material world. And when the Brahma's night appears, the lower 7 planetary systems are dissolved, dissolved. And all the elevated souls, they go to the higher planets to be saved from the rising ocean, Garbhodaka ocean. And when the day comes, then the water again goes down, the water is inundated, and then again, life springs in the lower planets. But Dhruvaloka is, almost as high as Satyalok, so it doesn't get annihilated at the night of Brahma. But after Dhruva Maharaj leaves his current body, he will go to the Dhruvaloka planet and he will enjoy there until the end of Brahma's life. And when the material, like when the universe is annihilated, or when Brahmaji himself leaves, then he will go back to Godhead.
Okay.
So this is as per my understanding.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Madhu Sevit Prabhu, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Absolutely correct. So, yeah, at the end of Brahma's life, Dhruv Maharaj will also go back to Godhead. So that means that his existence is eternal. So Dhruvalok, it may cease to exist as a physical planet on the dissolution of this whole universe, but Dhruv Maharaj, and of course, then we can also understand by extension that all his associates there will directly be promoted to Vaikuntha Lok. So in that sense, the planet is eternal.
Right. Thank you, Prabhu. Sorry to trouble you.
No problem at all. I can talk a little bit.
Let's keep that to a little bit for now. Yes, text 23. Tvad Vratarya Uttame Nashte Mrigayayam Tu Tan Manaha Anveshanti Vanam Mata Davagnim Sa Pravekshati. Someone like to read? Sure, Prabhuji, go ahead.
The Lord continued, sometimes in the future, your brother Uttama will go hunting in the forest, and while absorbed in hunting, he will be killed. Your stepmother Suruchi, being maddened upon the death of her son, will go to search him out in the forest, but she will be devoured by a forest fire. Purport. Dhruv Maharaj came to the forest to search out the Supreme Personality of Godhead with a revenging spirit against his stepmother. His stepmother has insulted Dhruva, who was not an ordinary person but a great Vaishnava. An offense at the lotus feet of a Vaishnava is greatest offense in the world. Because of having insulted Dhruva Maharaj, Suruchi would become mad upon the death of her son and would enter a forest fire, and thus her life would be ended. This was specifically mentioned by the Lord to Dhruva because he was determined for revenge against her. From this, we should take the lesson that we should never try to insult a Vaishnava. Not only should we not insult a Vaishnava, but we should not insult anyone unnecessarily. When Suruchi insulted Dhruva Maharaj, he was just a child. She, of course, did not know that Dhruva was a great recognized Vaishnava, and so her offense was committed unknowingly. When one serves a Vaishnava unknowingly, one still gets the good result, and if one unknowingly insults a Vaishnava, one suffers the bad result. A Vaishnava is especially favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Pleasing him or displeasing him directly affect the pleasure and displeasure of the Supreme Lord. Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur in his 8th stanza of prayers to spiritual master had sung, Yasya Prasada Bhagavad Prasade. By pleasing the spiritual master who is pure Vaishnava, one pleases the personality of Godhead. But if one displeases the spiritual master, one does not know where he is going. Thank you. So in this, Prabhuji, Lord continued that even Suruchi was not knowing when she insulted Dhruv Maharaj that he is going to be a great Vaishnava in future. But knowingly or unknowingly, if anybody insulted a Vaishnava, her end will be very unpalatable. And in this quote was given, Yasya Prasada Bhagavad Prasade, like spiritual master we consider topmost Vaishnava, and if one displeases the topmost Vaishnava, then it directly displeases the spiritual master, and then we cannot know where he is going in.
Yes,
And
Prabhuji.
one more thing it is highlighted, Prabhuji. Actually, not a Vaishnava means unnecessarily we should not insult anybody. Means, because maybe like in this case, Suruchi doesn't know that in future Dhruva Maharaj is going to be a Vaishnava. So it may happen that unknowingly we may offend a Vaishnava, and unknowingly we have to suffer the karmic reaction. We should be humble to each and everyone, means from small to big, whoever it is. Unnecessarily, we should not insult anybody.
Yes, Prabhuji. I mean, even Bhaktivinoda Thakur used to say, right, that from the smallest of ants to the Supreme Lord, everybody should be respected. So that is the thing, that unless one is, I mean, as far as possible, we should not insult anyone. But if somebody speaks out of his ignorance or arrogance against, Vaishnavas, then we have to defend. Just like Srila Prabhupada used to say that the real glorification of the spiritual master is when you defend him or defend his principles. So that is the only, reason or cause in which you can not insult but challenge somebody's philosophy. And I think was it Kalachakra Prabhu who was mentioning that we won't go back to Godhead unless we learn how to respect even the non-living things around us, because in the spiritual world everything is spiritual or everything is living, conscious. So we also have to have a respect for even the non-living things that we are using. So
The same thing is as in Japanese philosophy also, probably. If we say this ikigai kind of thing, say even non-living thing that use and throw kind of thing and mentality is very demonic. Right. They believe ikigai is that whatever is serving, whatever thing or living or non-living, whatever it is serving us, we should take care of it. Means before throwing, we should try to repair it. Means it should not be like use and throw is kind of exploiting tendency. I mean, that's if the thing is able to serve us, then keep it, and as soon as if it is little bit damaged, just throw it.
Yes, bro, absolutely. I mean, nowadays this is happening more and more. So that's the sad reality.
Yeah, that is all marketing gimmick.
Yeah. Yes, bro. Are there any other questions or comments?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
What about the forest, the fire forest, a forest of fire? Sorry. What that represent, or how can you explain? What that means?
So the Lord is Trikaladarshi, or he can see the past, present, and the future. So here the Lord is basically foretelling Dhruva Maharaj what will be the end of Dhruva Maharaj's brother and his stepmother. And this is because, just to sort of show an example of, as Prabhupada is mentioning, that insulting a Vaishnava, even if, unknowingly, that is also an aparadh. And being devoured in a forest fire and, having one's own son killed are the sufferings that Suruchi has to go through because she had insulted Dhruva Maharaj.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
We can also say that means smaller big, like that example is there in like Ramayana, that while making the Ram Setu, there is one small square that you can explain better. Means the squirrel was underestimated. So underestimated.
Hare Krishna, probably one more point.
Yes,
Prabhuji, actually, even all living beings are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. In that concept also, we have to think that we should not insult any living being. So, or we should not do the aparadh. We should
Yes,
not
yes,
hurt persons. So in that
absolutely,
way,
Prabhu.
also, that is a Panditaha Samadarsana concept also we can apply in this. With that mode, we have to treat the people.
Yes, Prabhu, absolutely. I mean, it's just the same thing as how an Uttamadhikari sees the world. He sees the
Correct.
super soul in all living entities.
Yes. Yes.
So, although we do not have that
Samdarshana
vision, yes, Prabhu.
yeah, yeah. Samdarshana means Prabhu equal, means treating equally. Or-
Yeah, equal treatment to everyone. I mean, in the
Equal.
next verse, I think in a couple of verses after that verse, Krishna is saying that a person is still further advanced who considers his enemy, his friend, a neutral
Yeah.
person, and a loved one, all with an equal mind, which seems practically impossible for us at this point. But yeah, that is the level we have to achieve.
But through our sadhana only, that will we inculcate
Yes.
that habit of treating people, giving respect and everything. That's
Absolutely,
the
absolutely.
practice.
Bhagavad Gita also says the same story.
So that was not true. Yes.
Bhagavad Gita also says the same thing. One should consider everybody equal, the chandal or a dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is emphasized by God many times.
Absolutely. I mean, Bhagavatam is just the elaboration of Bhagavad Gita, so it's quite natural that we are just getting those nectars here. I mean, if we go back to the chapters of Devahuti and Kapila Muni, there we will see like all the verses are just elaborations of Bhagavad Gita verses. So
It is very difficult to follow. I mean, practically, it is impossible. Because like in our office, I work means I have different class of people means, as per their designation. If I treat them equally, they will think I am a fool.
So yeah, that's the thing, right? When I was actually listening to this lecture by Keshavan Prabhu, it was recently uploaded. Become like Yudhishthir Maharaj was the title of the lecture. And in that, he was mentioning how Yudhishthir Maharaj ruled the entire world for several years. But as soon as he got to know that Krishna left, he left. He also gave up his clothes, gave up his everything. But when he ruled with justice. Although he treated everyone with respect, he punished those who were wrongdoers and he protected those who were pious. So being spiritual, being religious does not mean that you become a fool. Or being humble does not mean you are a fool. Humility comes from knowledge, as Srila Prabhupada used to say, that real humility means that one understands that our family, our money, our property, our nation, our society, nothing will save us except Krishna. That is real humility. And when we have that vision, then of course a devotee is not a fool, even if he is humble. Yes, thank you very much, Prabhuji. Text 24. Ishtva mam yagya hridayam
Ishtamam
Vidya.
yagyaihi pushkala dakshinaihi bhuktva cheha shishah satya ante mam samsmarishyasi. Yes, sir. Would someone like to read? Pranam Prabhuji. Yes, please.
Hare Krishna. The Lord continued, I am the heart of sacrifices. You will be able to perform many great sacrifices and also give great charity. In this way, you will be able to enjoy the blessings of material happiness in till and the time of your death. You will be able to remember me. Purport of Srila Prabhupada's teacher. The most important factor in this verse is the Lord's instructions regarding how to remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead at the end of life. Until Narayani is made. The result of whatever we do in executing spiritual activities is successful if we can remember Narayan, the Supreme Personality of God. This program of constant remembering the Supreme Personality of Godhead, program of constant remembering can be distributed by many things. But Dhruv Maharaj's life is so pure as assured by the Lord himself that he would never forget. Thus, at the time of death, he would remember the Supreme Lord, and therefore, in death, he would enjoy this material world. Not by self gratification, but by performing great sacrifice. As stated in Vedas, when one performs great sacrifice, he must give in charity not only to Brahmins, but also to Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. It is shown here that Dhruv Maharaj would be able to perform such activities. In this age of Kali, however, the great sacrifice is the performance of Sankirtan Vigna. Our Krishna consciousness movement is designed to teach people and to learn ourselves the exact instructions of the personality of Godhead. In this way, we shall continue to perform the Sankirtan Yajna continually and continually chant the Hare Krishna Mantra. Then certainly at the end of our life, we shall be able to remember Krishna and our program of life will be successful. In this age, distribution of prasad has replaced distribution of money. No one has sufficient money to distribute. But if we distribute Krishna prasad as far as possible, it is more valuable than the distribution. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Please, would you like to comment on this? Yes.
Not much comment, but I like to share what I understood out of it.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
not capable to making any comments and all that. So in this technical text, Krishna is emphasizing on the significance of making sacrifice. It says the most important factor in verse is Lord's instruction regarding how to remember Supreme Personality of Godhead at the end of the life. I think if we correlate, it relates to that, not a Mishmara, the person who last of life called his son, Narayana. And
Ajamil.
Ajamil, yeah, sorry, thank you, Prabhu. Ajamil
Yes.
remembered Narayana, and when he called him, Dutas, Yam Dutas ran away from there, and the Vishnu came and took him back. So that is the significance of remembering God and how merciful it is. Despite them being a very low cost person, even if he called, remember the Krishna at the last moment, the Vishnu Dut came and rescued him. So that is the importance, what I think is very important. And so for Dhruv Maharaj is concerned, he is very elevated soul already. And I think God was again very merciful to him, that despite of that, he is assuring him that at the end of the life, after he has enjoyed the material life, a worldly life, he will go to the Loka or he will go to Surya. But here God is again clarified. Material life does not mean sense gratification. The best sense gratification can be when you make sacrifices. Give charity to various people. Not only Brahmins, it can be to Kshatriyas, Shudras, and Vaishnavas. But in this period, making sacrifice is not that easy for various reasons, obvious. So the best sacrifice is distribution of the name of Krishna, which is in shape of Mahaprasad. And they say it is difficult to distribute money. And if you distribute prasad, that will be as good or as better than distributing money. But here, the prasad doesn't mean the material prasad or the food grains, etc. This is even very good. So you can't do it if you distribute the name of Krishna Almighty. That will be as good as a prasada. And the Sankirtan will be the only course that if we remember at the end of life, that we'll have liberation or we'll bail out of this world. So importance of sacrificing and remember the God at the end of your life has been emphasized in this. Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you.
beautiful explanation, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Yeah, so I think you've explained everything. That enjoying the material world does not mean sense gratification, but performing sacrifices and giving charities to everyone. And the real charity, as Prabhupada is mentioning here, is the distribution of prasad, not money, because money will just maintain the body, but prasad will also nourish the soul. And in this age, Sankirtan Yajna is the best, as Merotra Prabhu has very rightly pointed out.
Yep. One more point, Prabhuji, we can say here it is written, Dhruva Maharaj life would be so pure, means somebody can remember at the death the Lord only if he practiced the same through his entire life. Otherwise, at the time of death, everyone cannot, maybe not living like him. So if somebody is
Absolutely.
practicing Krishna consciousness throughout his life, then only at the time of end he can remember Krishna. Otherwise, it is very difficult to remember Krishna at the time of death. Because even at the old age, or people are dying, means at old age also the lusty desire is still there. We have Prabhuji that very famous example of the girl that meeting a person on bedridden and
Yeah,
cheating.
the Akbar Bilbal story.
Yeah, so he see the girl first and then the Prabhuji. So means if he practice Krishna consciousness throughout the life, then only it is possible. Otherwise, it is impossible, and everybody will not be lucky like Ajamin. And charity is like Prabhuji, charity should be given to all, but only to prosper them into Krishna consciousness or to bring them to the path of bhakti, like Prabhuji told, Prabhuji told.
Yes, absolutely.
All, but only if, to bring them to the path of bhakti. Because even if we give money, we don't know the mode of means which mode it is. Like if we distribute food, it may be in prasadam, it may be in the mood of goodness. And prasadam, like Marotra Prabhu said, it does not mean only the food. It means all
Your voice is breaking.
Now, the prasadam means the food. It doesn't mean only prasadam. It means the knowledge, like the Krishna conscious movement, knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and devotion. So these are also a kind of prasadam which should be distributed.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Archana Mataji has asked, does Dhruva Maharaj actually die? And Madhu Sevit Prabhu has replied, no, he just goes back to Godhead, as do many of the other residents of higher planets, such as Satyalok, Maharlok, Tapalok, etc. Prabhuji, I have a counter question to this, that doesn't Dhruva Maharaj have a material body at this point that he is, performing all these austerities and trying to please the Lord?
Yeah, so the answer is in the 12th chapter actually of the same canto. Dhruva Maharaj goes back to Godhead. So here, here, Maitreya Muni is explaining. So now, Now the time for Dhruv Maharaj to leave this world has come. So Nanda and Sunanda, the two associates of Lord Vishnu, have arrived, and they have they are now speaking to Dhruv Maharaj. So they say that, we are the representatives of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the creator of the whole universe, who carries in his hand the bow named Sharang. We have been specifically deputed to take you to the spiritual world. To achieve Vishnu Lok is very difficult, but by your austerity you have conquered. Even the great rishis and demigods cannot achieve this position. Simply to see the Supreme Lord, the Supreme Abode, the Vishnu planet, the sun and moon and all the other planets, stars, lunar mansions and solar systems are circumambulating it. Now please come, you are welcome to go there. Dear King Dhruva, neither your forefathers nor anyone else before you ever achieved such a transcendental planet. The planet known as Vishnu Lok, where Lord Vishnu personally resides, is the highest of all. It is worshipable by the inhabitants of all other planets within the universe. Please come with us and live there eternally. So here, then this narration continues. Before getting aboard, Dhruv Maharaj worshipped the airplane, circumambulated it, and offered obeisances to the associates of Vishnu. In the meantime, he became as brilliant, as illuminating as molten gold. He was thus completely prepared to board the transcendental plane. So here Srila Prabhupada is explaining Dhruv Maharaj, so that as Lord Vishnu is worshipable, so are his associates and his paraphernalia. Dhruv Maharaj knew all this very well as a pure Vaishnava, and he offered his respects to the associates and to the plane before riding in it. But in the meantime, his body changed into spiritual existence, and therefore it was illuminating like molten gold. In this way, he also became one with the other paraphernalia of Vishnu Loka. So this is also, see, when a devotee performs the spiritual practices in such a manner that he becomes a pure devotee, then his very existence becomes spiritual. And that's the reason why Acharya's physical bodies are not cremated. They are given samadhis. So for instance, when Srila Prabhupada left this world, he left in the evening time and his samadhi ceremony was carried out in the morning. So usually within a few hours, rigor mortis sets in for all normal human beings. But Srila Prabhupada's body was soft. So was the case with Vinod Thakur. So we can understand that this body is spiritual. Dhruv Maharaj's body converted to spiritual. He did not. So here we see, when Dhruv Maharaj was attempting to get on the transcendental plane, he saw death personified approach him. Not caring for death, however, he took advantage of the opportunity to put his feet on the head of death, and thus he got up on the airplane, which was as big as a house. So when personified death came, he stepped on his head and went inside the airplane. So he doesn't die like us normal people.
So this is at the end of this life, or from Dhruvalok he went back to Godhead?
From Dhruvalok.
Okay, so is it so that he already went back to Godhead?
Yes. See, going back to Godhead, we have to understand that, see, it's not like some place where we go. It's a stage of consciousness. So it's like it's a state of consciousness. Well, like Narad Muni also, he's a liberated soul. So he says, in a flash, I gave up my old body and I got this one. So usually one can imagine that, a child is born, that means he has to die. Then he has to go to the planet of Pitras, the Yamalok. And then he gets another body. Or in case of devotees, when they die, Vishnu Dutas come and they take him to the next body, which could be spiritual or material. So, but in case of pure devotees, the liberation is instantaneous. This is a similar example we see in the case of Ajamil also. Ajamil, after hearing the narration of Vishnu Dutas, he leaves his home and he goes to Badrikashram to perform tapasya, austerities. After living in Badrikashram for a long time, when he is completely purified, one day when he is coming out of his penance, he sees the same Vishnu Dutas who had come to save him earlier. He offers them his obeisances and they take him back to God.
So then why is, like when an airplane comes, you imagine that you're going someplace.
Correct.
Although we understand that it is a state of consciousness.
Yes.
But there also seems to be a physical place, a Vishnu Lok, that,
Yes. So Vishnu Lok, so Vishnu Lok is also a physical place. But Golok Vrindavan, for instance, we see the story of Gopkumar. The story of Gopkumar takes place even before the dissolution of this universe. Even before the dissolution of this universe, Gopkumar goes back to Godhead, but he doesn't go anywhere. He's just living in Mathura. So he goes to Vaikuntha, but Vishnu Susharma is not going anywhere. Susharma is very much in Mathura only, and there only that converts to Golok Vrindavan. So he goes nowhere. He's in Vrindavan all the time.
So the travel is also instantaneous.
Yes. Instantly transferred.
I mean, we probably might not even understand this until we are actually freed. So it's no point in contemplating.
Yeah, there's no point in contemplating these things. One thing we have to realize is we have to get free from, lust, anger, and greed. 3 gates of hell.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you very much. I'm sorry for the trouble.
No problem.
Okay, it's a small verse. Text 25. Tato gantasi matsthanam sarva loka namaskritam uparishtad rishibhyastvam yato navartate gataha. Someone like to read?
Very true.
Sure.
Okay, I continue it. Hare Krishna Prabhu. The personal Godhead continued. My dear Dhruv, after your mental life is in the body, you will go to my planet, which is always offered obviously by the residents of all other planets. It is situated above the planets of the 7 rishis, and when you go there, you never have to come back again to this material world. Purport by Srila. In this verse, the word Navatat is very significant. The Lord says you will not come back to this material world because you will reach Matsaram, my abode. Therefore, Dhrulo or the polar star is the abode of Lord Vishnu within this material world. Upon it, there is an ocean of milk, and within that ocean, there is an island called Sapdeep. It is clearly indicated that this planet is situated above the 7 planetary systems of the rishis. And because this planet is the Kuntalo, it is worshipped by all our planetary systems. It may be questioned here that what will happen to the planet known as Dhruloka at the time of the solution of the universe. The answer is simple. Dhruloka remains like other Vaikuntha lokas beyond this universe. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has commented on this in this connection that the very word Navtate indicates that this planet is eternal. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you very much.
I think this takes care of the most of the queries we were having doubts.
Yes.
About the position of Dhruloka. And very clearly said that this is outside the material world and eternal. And they are as good as Krishna Loka. Thank you, Prabhu. You can explain further on that.
Thank you, Prabhu. So Yeah, I mean, the only takeaway from this verse I would say is that we just have to be patient and trust Srila Prabhupada. He will answer all our queries.
Yes, of course, no doubt. By the time we finish the Bhagavatam, I think we will have not many doubts there.
Well, to be fair, when we read it again, we'll have newer doubts. So there is always that. But
Only suppose you're lucky to have second round of Bhagavad.
yes, I mean, we'll see. Let's finish the first one.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, here the Vishnaloka within this material world means, I think my understanding is it is this thing Shirodakaya Vishnu's planet.
Yes,
No?
yes, yes. Shwetadeep, yes.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. I mean, the Lord is transcendental, so all the Vishnu Murtis are transcendental, and even their planets are transcendental. So even though they are in the material world.
Yeah, that's
Yes, Prabhuji. So, any other questions or comments? Madhu Sevit Prabhu, would you like to finish session?
Completely fine. I think it's quite nice. We can end now, maybe.
Okay. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Thank you very much, Mataji, everyone who joined. And just a small announcement that on the 19th, Saturday evening, 9 to 10 India time, we will have His Grace Yogendra Prabhu, disciple of Srila Prabhupada, with us, and he will speak on teachings of Lord Chaitanya. So hopefully all of you will be able to make some time for it. And Prabhuji, we will have the session tomorrow, right?
I think Prabhuji, tomorrow everyone will be in the temple. I don't know whether everyone will come in time or because the program goes up to 8 o'clock. The prasadam they said, but it may go late also.
True, true.
This is India time talking, but I don't know there.
No, here also the program is in the evening, so it starts at 6 o'clock. So like 5:30 to 6:30 is our class time here, so we will be in the temple anyways.
If everyone willing, then we can have that.
Yes. Madhu Sevit Prabhu, do you have any ideas?
No idea as of now.
Okay, let's decide then tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, let's decide tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Guruji. Hare Krishna. Then
Krishna.